guys, it's Mo Clark with Sheen Magazine. I am super, super excited. It's crazy. I used to stay up and beg to stay up to 9 p.m. to watch this lady. And I have her sitting here with me, the lovely and talented Jasmine Guy.
Hello.
I am super excited. Like, I don't get like this except, I'm fangirling right now because I think you've always been beautiful, right? And you are so multi-talented because we all know you as Whitley from A Different World, and you have this accent and you were the Southern belle. So tell me, what was that character like for you? What made you want to portray that character?
I needed a job. I was 25 years old and I had been working on Broadway for between Alvin Ailey and Broadway and the tours I did. It was like 8 years. I was 17 when I left home. I was 25 when I got A Different World.
We didn't really skip past this Alvin Ailey though.
Yeah, I skipped through a lot. That's okay. I came out the room and started playing Whitley.
I can't skip that because I went to a performing arts high school.
So did I.
So I get that. So dancing and theater was your passion.
Right. That's what I was doing. And my discipline was dance, but I went to Northside School of the Arts, but we had to do everything. Dancers had to sing and act. Actors had to take movement classes.
Yes.
It was kind of that. So when I left high school, I had already done 4 shows at the school. I played Anita in West Side Story when I was 13. I played in Bye Bye Birdie. I mean, there were a couple of shows I couldn't do because I was also in Atlanta Ballet because I'm trying to get to Alvin Ailey.
Right.
And I knew that technique and that discipline could not be learned in musical theater, so I was taking a lot of hardcore dance classes.
Yes.
Point.
That people don't. I didn't take dance. Okay, let me just say that I didn't do the dance thing, but I definitely know the struggle. I can speak to the struggle because even though you're in performing arts high school, you've got to keep up with your regular classes like your English and your math. And I went to a school where we really didn't know what was important, right? Because we had our English teacher saying this is important, you got to do this, but then we also had our music theater teacher saying this is important, you have to do this. So you had to find that balance. So how long did you know that you wanted to participate with Alvin Ailey? Which who wouldn't? I mean, that's like top of the line. Honestly.
Right. I was 11 because we used to see Alvin Ailey when they came here every year.
Okay.
Me and my family, so my little sister and my parents. And it occurred, I had been taking dance since I was 5. But I didn't know that you could do it as a profession.
Right.
So you know how you always ask little kids where you want to be when you grow up? I didn't know that I could be a dancer.
Right.
I didn't know that was a job.
Right.
And so when I saw Ailey's, I really I got happy for the first time, but it was at the Fox watching the Ailey Company of Revelations. And I didn't know why I was crying. I didn't know what that feeling was, but I had seen it in church. My grandfather, my father's a minister, but also my grandfather. So I remember watching other people getting happy, but not knowing what that was.
Right.
And when that happened to me, it was in the audience of Alvin Ailey, and I knew that was my calling. And so from that point on, from 7th grade on, I was very focused on getting my technique together and watching and reading as much as I could about dance. And I was pretty busy, but very focused. I mean, I did leave Saturday night for Greenbrier skating rink. I mean, balance is important. I'm glad your parents said this is important and this is important.
Right.
Because you are now interviewing, you're using those skills. Had you just been cute and just been working on what you like, look where you are now and how multifaceted you are.
Yeah.
So
when you went to doing A Different World, that was we did see Whitley dancing and doing other things, so intertwining those two worlds together. But what was that like for you, taking that role on?
Well, at first, it was a bit tentative because the show had already been taping when Kadeem and I joined.
Okay.
I think they had already done 4 episodes, and I guess the word was, we need to make this funnier.
Ah.
And literally, we were brought in, me as the snotty bitch, and Kadeem as a, whooped, following Denise Huxtable. Like we knew, at least we knew what we were supposed to do, right?
Right.
But we had a limited contract for the 22 episodes. We were only contracted for 7.
Uh-huh.
So by episode 6, we were like, what you think? We going back to New York or is this working? Because, we had not um, been in front of the audience that long
Like
to
that.
get any kind of feedback. I kind of thought black people would reject the Whitley character with the
Mhm.
accent and attitude and all that. But it took me a long time to know whether or not it was laying right.
Right.
And the the reason I could go as far as I did with her is because we had multiple black characters on that show.
Yes.
I wasn't the only black person and therefore representing the whole
Right.
race.
Right.
Them there
Right.
too.
Right.
And I knew that as politically incorrect as Whitley was,
Mhm.
somebody was going to say the right thing on that show.
Yeah.
Whether it was Denise Huxtable in second season, when Korean Charlie came on, Kimberly Reese is going to say something.
Yeah.
Dwayne is going to say something.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to, if not put her in her place, but, challenge her
Mhm.
perspective because her perspective was from one of exclusion and not inclusion.
Mhm.
I just imagine that she went to a private school in
Yep. I did too.
Virginia with all white people,
I did too.
but she carries this black legacy with
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Her father was a judge. Her legacy on the black side of her family um, against, going to pageants and
Mhm.
it wasn't a world that I knew,
Yeah.
but I understood her not being able to. She didn't want people to know she didn't fit in. So
No,
that's
she
why
didn't.
she's like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
get you before you get me,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was interesting as an actor. How can I make her more real? How can I make her believable? And then the second season came, and her character changed
Right.
because I really didn't see her with an underclassman.
Yeah.
I said, "You got Whitley going with Dwayne. Like, where did we make that transition?"
And look, it turned out to be one of the most iconic. I'm just calling it what it is. One of the most iconic black relationships in TV. Like it's insane. How do you feel because I know when I go on social media, I still see clips. I still see clips of, Dwayne bursting into her wedding to someone else. Like we see these moments and it's like, I was a part of that. You were a part of that.
Well, I think that the audience grew up with Dwayne and Whitley
Absolutely.
and watching. I mean, we were in and out a lot over 6 years, over
Mhm.
the 6 seasons,
Mhm.
um, and that's very lifelike.
Yes.
And she also was a different kind of person in front of Dwayne.
Yeah.
Like as an actor, I said, okay, well, when you're with Dwayne, that's the only time. That's when you're really vulnerable.
Mm. She was in her
Because I was
sophomore
like, you
era.
can't just go around dropping the ball. I mean, reading somebody and slamming the door. It
Yeah.
wasn't dimensional enough. But I think that the relationship showed different sides of both of our characters.
Yes. Yes.
And then, of course, we had our parents. We had parents. The parents, they ain't care. Come on now.
Listen,
We used to love when our mamas came on the set.
we used to love when
It's
y'all
like,
moms came
oh,
on the
the
show.
fierce ones are back.
We used to love to see the moms. But even, after taking on that role, we, the guy that plays Steve Urkel, he kind of got stuck in that role and he wasn't able to do too many other things after that. It's awkward when we see him play something else. But we've gotten a chance to see you play a lot of different roles. You got the Wesley family Christmas and those types of films. Well, I love me a good Black Christmas movie, so I'm excited. Y'all better have one coming out this year too, because we need that.
Well, okay. So last year we did three, and we already knew we were going to do a trilogy.
Yeah,
But we would do it the year before it comes out. So
gotcha.
last year I should have been filming this year.
Yeah,
But the strike happened.
yeah, that's true.
Okay, so now we're filming our Christmas movie, our third one, this summer. Yeah,
I'm excited.
it's a destination.
I'm excited. So, what was it like playing that role for you? Because I know dang, I can't even tell the movie. With the last one that we saw that
Right,
came out.
Wesley Christmas wedding.
Yes. We
Yes.
saw a lot of things happen with people from your past coming up, and it was kind of like, is it is or is it ain't, whatever. What was that like for you getting into character playing that role? That's, again, like you said, that's life. That does happen.
It does. Well, in the first movie, I thought my husband was messing around on me.
Yes.
The second movie, he's seeing my ex-boyfriend and not feeling it. It flipped.
Yes.
But for me, I thought, as I got to know Bree West and Chuck West,
Yes.
who are the producers,
Yes.
they're really married. And they have 8 kids.
Oh my God.
They're like the Brady Bunch in real life. The two of them came together with 8. And a lot of the scenes are situations from their from their real family. And when I realized, I said, "Oh, Bree, I'm playing you." Getting to know her,
Yes.
I realized, oh, I'm Bree, and Dorian is playing Chuck West. So we're doing their story in a fictitious way.
Yes.
But to see them work together, to meet some of their children, I haven't met all 8 of them, because see their creative energy, their stories about how they met,
Yes.
and how she laid the law down for him about these other women that be calling him and whatnot. I'm like, okay, so I'm playing you. Got it. And I love working with Dorian Wilson and T.C. Carson.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah,
He's amazing.
we have so much fun. The actors that are playing my children are really gifted. Like one time we were all eating lunch and they just started I don't know, they were all singing, but they were like throwing it to other people. And I was just sitting there like, damn, you can sing, and oh, that was good. And it's just very entertaining to be with so many creative people.
So fun part. This is the fun part, because we talking about this situation that happened in the movie. Have you ever had an ex try to spin the block and come back? And how did you handle that?
Oof.
Oh, I know they had to. You're gorgeous, so I mean.
Well, it's happened a few times, but not. It wasn't like I had witnesses. Like it didn't happen in front of my sister or something. It was just like, no, that's not going to happen. I have tried to be friends with not all my exes, but some of them, and I don't think I'm that good at it. Like some of my friends have friends that they've been with. That's over. They can separate the romance from the this and then that. I'm like, I just gotta make some new friends.
Yeah.
I'm not good with ex-boyfriends being friends.
One day we'll look back at this and we'll laugh. I ain't laughing. I'm still mad.
You still laughing?
I still remember it was fresh. No, I'm not laughing. I don't want to be your friend.
This is the thing. If I don't like you as a lover, why am I like you as a friend?
It makes sense, right?
I love my friends.
Makes sense.
I don't have people in my life that I don't trust and respect. So why would I be your friend if I don't want to, But some relationships you can keep like that because you didn't lose respect or trust.
I like that.
Some of them it's like, I'm so glad we've had this time together.
So you have, over your career, you've gotten to work with a lot of iconic people. Tupac. What was that like? Oh my God, you worked with Tupac. I think we still got a crush on Tupac. Like, seriously?
Yeah.
We do. What was that like for you?
Well, I met Tupac when he did an episode of A Different World,
Right.
but he and Jada were already friends. So really, hanging out and talking to him happened after he did that episode.
Right.
And it was Jada's birthday, and we were all at her birthday party.
Mm.
Yeah. And then I just hung out with him. Mostly, I wanted him to know. I think Poetic Justice had just come out. Anyway, I had seen Juice, and with Poetic Justice, I was just hearing things, actor talk. Oh, he's just being himself, and he's not really acting. And when I saw him, I think it was at the mall at the Beverly Center. I said, I just want you to know that you are a gifted actor, and don't listen to those murmurings, because everybody cannot do that. Everybody cannot make you believe that person is real, as you did in Juice and as you did in Poetic Justice.
Yes.
So don't hear that noise from, you know, when as actors, that was a time when rappers were taking a lot of roles.
Yes.
And so there was a bitterness to that, somebody's been in the business for 15 years, went to Juilliard, and then lost a movie role to an up and coming rapper.
But he went to performing arts school too.
I know.
So that's
Don't let them take your props. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
He was in A Raisin in the Sun when he was a little kid.
Yeah.
So that started a friendship where, we would go to dinner, we would talk, he would just talk about what roles he wanted to do. I would tell him what I was writing and what I saw for myself after A Different World. And then when he was shot, it just it became very close very fast, because I flew to New York, where I had an apartment, and he needed a place to stay. And that's when I got really close to his mom and his aunt and his family, which became a whole nother experience. It was a very traumatic time, as you can imagine.
Yes.
Very scary time. And I didn't know. I had to watch the series to know what was going on. I didn't know half the stuff that was going on, as far as like lawsuits and what he had been, because we didn't talk about stuff like that.
Right.
And I was watching Dear Mama, like, what? Oh, this was when I was, I was there for this, but I just didn't know.
Yeah.
So much happened in his life in such a short period of time.
Yes.
I could always say to him, because he would say, yeah, that's legend. I said, why you always talk about, like, when you die, or what you're leaving behind? He talked like an old man. I met him when he was 21. It's like he knew. He said, you don't understand. Black men don't live that long. We don't always make it past 25. So I haven't really thought past 25. Wow. And he packed that 25 with his political views, his creativity.
Yes.
How many albums came out posthumously?
You know what?
How did he know he wasn't going to be here? And to leave that, I don't know.
I will be the first one to say, after he passed away, I was like, it's not true, because he keeps coming out with albums.
Right.
These were like full albums. It wasn't like one or two songs. These were like full albums. And it's like, how? But to just...
And when they did that hologram, I was like, y'all really messing people up. They already think he's still alive, and then I can understand it, because I had no idea that much work. And this is between going to prison. I don't know if he was writing while he was in prison for 11 months.
Has unreleased music at this point. Yeah, it definitely is.
I mean, true genius.
Yeah, and for you to be able, you're a legend now. What does that feel like for you? What does that feel like for you?
I'm just not gonna say that. I mean, if I made fun of him for saying it, how am I gonna say it?
But you are, though. Like, you're a part of our history. You are a part of our history.
So what are you saying? Claim it?
You might as well. So you are a part of not only history but Black history. You are your character, your portrayal, even the things you've done in dance, in theater. So at this point, yeah, I think you gotta own it. You might want to own it, because I know
Okay.
I haven't posted any clips or anything from this interview, but I just made a flyer with you on it, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, I love her."
Oh,
Yeah, so thank you for my new followers and my new friends.
you're welcome.
I appreciate that. What do you think it would have been like? Oh my God, I can just imagine if social media was around during all of these shows and things that you were a part of. What do you think it would have been like for the fan base?
Oh, I have no idea because one thing is generating the other. So, you're talking about we didn't even have cell phones when I was
Right.
17. And, I can remember getting my first cell phone in my 30s.
Ooh,
So, they had pages and stuff.
I had a
I did,
pager.
yeah,
I
I'm
definitely
sure
had a
you
pager.
did.
I definitely had a
Yeah,
pager.
you too slick not to have a pager.
Yeah, I definitely had a pager. I also had a cell phone where you could take the phone. You know what? We're not gonna talk about my age.
But we had other vehicles and ways to, we had Arsenio.
We
And
did.
Arsenio let us go on. And when I say us, I mean new talent, Black talent, multiple talented people. Maybe it wasn't the stiff format of monologue, comedy, music out. And the interviews were very, I feel like I grew up on that show, learning how to interview on his show. Being able to perform for my album and then go sit on the couch. There were so many big deals about, like on Johnny Carson, if you were a comic, you may or may not be invited to sit on the couch. So
Ooh.
getting to sing and then sit on the couch and have another 4 minutes of an interview
Yeah.
was an honor,
Yeah.
I just learned a lot about the business part of it, not
Yeah.
so much the art. There's also that business part.
Mhm.
The first season of A Different World with Lisa Bonet being on the show, I was actually relieved that she was the lead and the star, and watching what she dealt with in her private life. And but so the second season, that was a bit shocking to have that kind of attention. Plus, she was with Lenny, so the two of them really couldn't go anywhere or without a paparazzi or that kind of crowd.
Yeah.
I remember hanging out with Whitney Houston and just being like, "Oh, this is how you roll all the time." There's so many people. I'd be like, "How'd they know we were coming to this restaurant?" Um, that level of fame,
Yeah.
and thank God I was able to experience it with the people that I worked with. Um, I watched how they balanced it, mastered it, and still had their own little private space
Yeah.
for them, their family, their friends that they didn't share with the general
Yeah.
public.
That's
And
important.
that's different with social media. We were a lot more private than y'all are. I'm sorry. I'm like, why do I need to know what this child had for lunch? Unless you my child. I definitely don't need to know who y'all sleeping with and whatnot.
You know what?
Or what surgeries you got. I'm just like, that part of it is foreign to me because I'm more old school,
Yeah.
about privacy and
I get it.
boundaries and whatnot.
I get it. I get it. So I got two more questions before I let you go. So the first one is, looking back over your career and things that you've learned, do you feel there's anything you would have done differently?
I haven't thought about that question that much because I don't know what I could do now about it. And also, I feel like I always make the right decision for where I am in
That's
my
good.
life. So being 62 and judging my 27-year-old decisions might not be fair
Yeah.
because I was going with what I knew. Certainly, with relationships and prioritizing, and I don't know that they're regrets, but as I got older, I started to appreciate other parts of my life more than I did when I was younger. But I was learning more, I was experiencing more, so that's difficult for me to judge myself as a young person. I was not I'm not a spontaneous person.
Me neither.
I've usually thought about this stuff. Like when I cut my hair, it wasn't. I've been thinking about it for 2 years. You know what I mean? But to everybody else, it just seemed like, "Dad, girl, you just cut your hair up." I'm like, no, I've been thinking about it. I just didn't know when and how, and I was
Yeah.
asking other people. I like to weigh things, and
Yeah.
because it's hard to feel that regret.
Yeah.
It's like a heavy load. I don't want to regret, even though divorce is difficult, I don't want to regret my marriage. And
Mm.
I got my baby.
Mm.
And I had a lot to learn through that experience.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say, damn, I shouldn't have done that, or I should have seen that earlier.
Yeah.
Or, so there are things like that where I can see in relationships that there were red flags that I ignored or chose to work through or thought things would change. That kind
Yeah,
of
don't
stuff
we?
has happened to me a few times. You too.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time I get ready to write my book on divorce, something happened. But that's a story. That's another story for another day. But the last question is, with you coming up in the industry, things that you saw, things that you went through, the good, the bad, the ugly, what advice would you give someone, a young female in particular, who wants to start in the entertainment industry?
Well, I think whatever your natural talent is, of course, nurture that.
Mhm.
I recommend um, skill, technique. Don't just go because you're naturally gifted. I mean, when you see somebody, when you see a Dave Chappelle, he has been crafting and learning. You know, you're only seeing the finished product.
Yes.
So I don't want people to think that because you can do it for 2 minutes on TikTok, that's something that will sustain you. So I would recommend classes. Um, if it's an actor, theater is a very strong foundational thing to give you discipline.
Yes.
When you're tired or nervous, it's going to be your technique that gets you through. And that goes for a singer or a dancer.
Mhm.
There are 10 and 12-hour days. And sometimes it's only because you know how to do something that you can get through,
Yes.
and that is craft.
Well, that was
And we
amazing.
both went to performing arts
We
classes.
did. We
So we know
did.
about craft.
We did, and I will definitely tell you my story. I actually auditioned with an accent. It's crazy, right? I auditioned with an accent. I don't know. It was when I was a little girl and I used to watch the Grey Poupon commercial. And I didn't even know what I was doing, right?
What accent were you using?
A British accent.
Okay.
I did. So when I auditioned, I swear to God, when I auditioned for school, I did the accent. Like I did the accent, and it just so happened I had a German teacher from another school. She knew who I was, and she was like, "Yes, she's in." Like I already had a role and everything.
Oh, I love that
Yeah.
story.
So I didn't even know what I was doing, and it just became a thing in our family where everybody was like, "Do the thing, do the thing." It was always do the thing, do the thing. So thank you for paving the way and letting us know it's okay to take on those accents, to be different. That's amazing. So I truly appreciate you and what you have done for us, especially us little black and brown girls, seeing HBU on TV. Nonetheless, before we even really knew what a HBU was, really. So thank you.
My pleasure.
And I'm happy you accepted your legacy because you need to, because
So that's what I learned today.
Yep, that's
I'm
it.
gonna claim it.
She's claiming it. Guys, it's Mo Clark with Sheen Magazine, and we out.